Hey everybody, guess what? Here I am sitting backstage at Irving Plaza. It's November 23rd. No, actually it's not November 23rd. It's August 7th. It's not good to live in the past or maybe the future. But anyway, so here I am with Gary Numan, and let's begin this interview and see what happens. So it's been about 5 years or so since I think you've toured the U.S. How has the reception so far been to your new album, Jagged? And to you as well, how have the audience been?
It's so far it's been very, very good. In fact, last night was really the best night we've had so far. So I'm hoping it's one of those things that, as the tour progresses, it just keeps on building and building as word spreads. We're checking the MySpace reports each night and various websites and so on, and we're just trying to keep a tab on whether people are into it or not.
So they're into it then.
It seems to be so far, but it's it's the music that I'm doing now is very, very different to what I was doing
Yes, I know that.
a long time ago. So there's always going to be a certain amount of people coming along to become nostalgic, and so that's to be overcome. So it's just something we have to keep pushing away at.
I know. I guess it could be kind of annoying to keep being bothered by your single from like 20 years ago when you have so much new material out.
Yeah. Well, I understand it. I mean, I'm not criticising anybody for it at all, but it is, part of being able to move on and let people know what you're doing now is to remind people that was a long time ago. The whole cast was a long time ago.
And what is your favorite song on Jagged? Do you have a favorite song? Or?
Yeah, it actually varies actually a little bit because the album is still quite new to me even. So at the moment, I would say Haunted is probably my favourite.
That is a pretty good song. Why are you saying it's new to you? I mean, haven't you listened to it many times when you're editing it and everything? Shouldn't you?
Well, when you're making it, you're kind of so close to it. You don't hear it in the same way as you do 6 months later when you listen back to it as a finished thing. And because I've been touring it so much, your feelings about it as simply as an album, listen to it as on your iPod or something, is again it has a different feel to when you actually listen to it on stage. It's not doing the songs because you're concentrating on what's easy and what's not so easy, to actually perform it and trying to remember the lyrics and what the different cues are. So you're kind of working it rather than listening to it. And it sounds a bit odd, but it is. I mean, when I'm monitoring, for example, I don't even have keyboards and drums in my ears. I've got other things. I'm not even hearing all the music. Just the things that I need to make sure that I can sing the right bits at the right time. And so it's not often that I actually sit back and just listen to it as a piece of music. So
you haven't done that lately. You haven't.
Not so much. No.
Well, you're singing the songs every night for like the past month, aren't you? On tour for the past month.
But it's not the same. See, there's a lot more to the record than just the vocal parts, and so it's. I know it sounds silly, but trust me,
I don't think it's silly at all.
I've not really listened back to it as a complete finished album since we actually mastered it in London. Sort of the week after we finished recording it. That was the last time I listened to it as an actual piece of music.
Okay.
So I can still pick one. I Haunted to be the one.
Okay, that's okay. But some listeners that might have heard your album, some of them might have drawn parallels to Nine Inch Nails. Do you think that it's because maybe Trent Reznor was influenced by you, or is it vice? Why not? How would you characterize this new album then?
If people think it's 9 Inch Nailsy, then I would be more than happy with that because I love them.
Not that it is, just that they're drawing similarities. Not that I'm not saying
No, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. I mean, I know Trent has said lots of things about me having an influence on what he was doing with Downward Spiral and even before that, which is really cool. So and I'm a big 9 Inch Nails fan anyway, so I have no problem with it.
Okay. And was there any kind of emotion you were trying to convey with this new album, or was it just up to the listener?
Nothing, no particular emotion from the album as a whole. The whole thing looks back at some of the less savoury things that I've been into over the last 25, 30 years. It's kind of like a look at the darker, more sordid things that I got.
Just things that go on in your head. I mean, things that go on in your head, your own personal life, things.
No, things that went on for real.
For real also.
But then magnified a little bit to make them seem more interesting than perhaps they were. Just to, for the sake of writing a song about it, and drama, you might make it seem a little bit more darker or heavier than it actually was. But that's kind of what it's about. I wasn't sure what to write about when I first started doing it. I kind of done the God thing, the anti-God thing quite a bit with the recent album, so I wanted to move away from that a little bit. And I saw a documentary about someone that something had happened in his life, and it just triggered this other side of him altogether, and he became a really vicious, unpleasant person. And it just got me thinking as to how some quite simple things, like a simple little moment, can trigger something in you which just changes your life forever. And so the outside world, it really doesn't seem like much at all. Anyways, and that got me thinking about my own life and things in the past.
You know,
No, it was a documentary on television. I just caught the end of it.
Okay.
And but that started the whole thought process about these little moments and things and that started me thinking about various things that I'd done over the years, and some that I should have and some that I shouldn't have, and that became the building block for the album.
Inspired you. Do you ever watch documentaries about serial killers?
Yeah, all the time.
What serial killer have you seen lately?
Oh God, I don't know. Dennis Nielsen, I think, was the last one of ours.
What is it that's like interesting about the serial killer? I mean, it is interesting to know, what their reasons are, but what do you find interesting about the documentaries? Like, is it like the human mind? Is that interest you, the study of?
A bit of that. I have absolutely no understanding whatsoever as to the pleasure that people can get from hurting other people. Don't understand.
Maybe they don't know they're hurting.
Well, maybe 1,001 things. I don't know, but that's why I watch the programs, because I find it strangely terrifying, but fascinating at the same time that these people are there and around, and they nearly always looks so normal, and it is.
Well, they always come across as very calm individuals a lot of times.
Yeah, well, mostly,
Still,
not all of them, but most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it also seems like Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson and Fear Factory, they've all done covers of your work,
Yeah.
and do you feel like you've gotten some of their audience in that way? Have you broadened their, has some of their audience, do you find that they're rediscovering you?
Difficult to say, really. I mean, I've not noticed a massive upturn in record sales or tickets. I seem to be struggling as the way I was before.
Still feel you're struggling despite that?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I think what they have done is it's given me a lot more respect in the media than I've had before, and people talk about me now as being very influential and innovative and all these lovely things, which is very nice to hear. So I think it's given me a level of respect perhaps I didn't have before. Whether it's actually increased the amount of people that like what I do or not, I really don't know. I would hope so, and you would think that might happen, that some Nin fans might check me out, and some of those might actually like it. But maybe that's a long process.
Do you listen to Fear Factory?
Yeah.
Is there any particular song that you like from them, or you can't really remember?
I know Edge Crusher. I always like Edge Crusher. That's
okay.
my favourite live song they do as well.
They remind me of hymns. I don't know why.
Who?
It's like hymns in a church, except it's to the guitar.
What Fear Factory do?
Fear Factory songs remind me of hymns sung in a church. Just the chorus, suffer fast, or
I never thought of it like that, but I guess so, actually.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I know it's heavy and everything, but it just reminded me of church. Not church, but the hymns that you sing in church, because it's kind of melodic in that way.
Yeah, I guess it is. I never thought of it like that.
But that's why I was.
Yeah.
That's just what I thought. Who knows?
No, you could well be right, actually.
And do you recommend any bands that you think are good? What do you listen to? What do you think are some good bands out there that are not really very that people might not know about, but you think are good, that are in the underground, that you think are good?
The only thing I really like at the moment, and I don't know whether it's underground or not, but there's a band called Combi Christ, which I think are really cool.
Combi Christ?
Combi Christ, yeah.
Okay. Are they from England?
I think they're Norwegian, actually.
Norwegian?
Yeah.
What is it, like rock?
No, it's like it's kind of like early Nine Inch Nails, actually. It's
really?
hugely aggressive and
That
yeah,
might
it's
be kind of interesting.
very powerful. It's really cool.
Okay. And I heard you also did a soundtrack to the movie Unborn. How do you go about doing a soundtrack for a movie? Do you see the movie and then you know what you're going to do? Does the director tell you how he'd like it? Or
Well, I've only done that once, so I can't speak for all movies. But that one, he came out to us, and we had clips of the film with code on, and then we talked about what he wanted, where he wanted music to start, where he wanted it to finish, and the vague vibe of it. And what I actually did it with a friend of mine, and we came up with 50 or 60 different bits of music to give him a guide. So you would say, well, that's the right sort of thing, or that one's the right sort of thing, but it needs to be longer or darker or
oh, I see.
heavier. And then we just sort of fine tune it, really.
Oh, that was a nice soundtrack. Did you see the movie?
Yeah.
What did you think of it? With all
Yes.
that,
It was
like
okay.
it, or
It
you
was
just-
lovely to see a film that with your music on it. It's kind of an ambition.
What did you think of the story of the movie? Or you didn't really?
No, it turned out to be very interesting for me and my wife, because we actually did end up having a baby with IVF.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that at the time, obviously. So no, I thought it was an interesting story at the time. And then when we started having IVF, it kind of came back and I remembered it a little bit.
You wouldn't want to be too scared.
Well, you never know. Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. Is there any movie that you've seen that you would have liked to compose that you think you could do a good job of composing? Is there any movie you've seen that?
Well, I thought Seven was brilliant.
Oh, that movie with the heads.
Yeah, and that other film, was it called Dark City? Yeah, Graham Revell, I think, did the music to that. Oh, I think he's a genius. I love Graham Revell.
Are you getting offers to do music for movies? Or not lately?
No, not well, not since that one actually, which is a real shame. I would love to. I really would love to. But I think because I'm based in England, and
That was an American movie, I think.
what?
Unborn.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but that was one of those freaky things. If you're based in England and you're not really around here very much, and I'm not. I mean, it's the first time I've been here for 5 years. Your name is not the one at the top of people's list to be calling when they're doing music for films. So it's my own geographically challenged, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, you wouldn't really. I don't think there are that many good movies that you might want your name associated with anyway. I mean, you know,
There's
if they're going to go through such a rigid process of selecting people like that, I mean, it might not necessarily be a movie you might be inspired to do music, but I don't
if
know.
it's rigid. It's just, people make a film and they look around at who else is doing music for films and what music they like, and so you've got Hans Zimmer and various people like that, and I guess they just go straight to the top of the list because first of all, they're very competent. They can do the job. They understand the business and know what the demands of it. They've probably got the equipment and everything all set up to do it, and they are a known item really. So it's for someone like me to get involved in a film, I think they would have to be taking a small risk because I really don't understand the way it works. Having said that, you can still write music.
Well, have you ever considered acting or anything?
No, never.
Oh.
Rubbish.
You just that you just don't think you'd be good at it? Or you
No,
just
I'll be absolutely crap. crap.
Have you ever seen? Oh, you just no.
I know. It's just
No
not.
camera for you.
No, it's not. It's not for me. I would love to. I would love to be able to act. It must be a great thing. To be in films or whatever must be a really, really cool thing. But I absolutely know for a fact that I got asked to do a small cameo in a film a few years back where I just had to be me in a film, and I couldn't sleep for weeks, just terrified of it.
What's so hard about that? You were
Don't
just.
know.
you.
It just isn't my thing.
Oh.
Isn't my thing at all.
Have you ever seen the show The Young Ones?
Yeah.
Do you like them?
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorite shows. I think that's one of the best comedies I think I've seen.
Yeah. I didn't know
Yeah.
you had that here. Yeah, no.
No, they don't have it here. I just came across it.
All right. Yeah, no,
My
it's
own
brilliant.
ways.
That's
So-
very British comedy, though. Surprised you get it.
But it used to show long ago, like a little bit, like on channel, like one of those smaller channels, and I used to watch it. I liked watching Alexi Sale, that big baldy guy. He was
Oh, I know,
funny.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I don't know, and I bought all their DVDs too. I thought it was really good. So you laugh at that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So when did you last laugh on this tour? Like,
About 2 minutes before I came to the door. I'm a very happy person.
I thought.
I am really.
Just
I am.
doing our own thing.
I'm very. I mean, Gemma, my wife, we just have the most brilliant time, and she makes me laugh all the time. And the band are my closest friends. We see each other all the time, and we're not touring. And I just we just have an excellent time. We are very happy, close-knit little unit. Just the music happens to be really dark.
No, that's fine.
But as people, we're actually
Well, I mean,
a laugh. So the whole point of touring for me is to just go out and have as much fun as possible. It's not
that's
about
good. Do you have like a favorite cartoon or anything?
cartoon. I
Could
can't
be an old
remember.
one.
I,
Back in the 50s or 60s, like really old. It doesn't even have to be a new modern cartoon. Well, what do you think about the Pink Panther?
hey, it's alright. I used to prefer Tom and Jerry actually.
Oh, you like Tom and Jerry?
Yeah, more than Pink Panther.
Oh, okay. What? Isn't it a little bit hard though? I mean, don't you have two children?
Hmm.
They're not. I mean, where are they? I mean, don't
They're
they
back
miss
in
their
England
parents?
now.
I mean,
With my parents, yeah.
oh,
Well, one's 3, just coming up to 3, and one's just coming up to 1. So life on the tour bus at the moment
No, that would be
wouldn't work
difficult.
out. But in a year or two,
Would they
2
miss
years,
both their parents? Because both you and your wife are touring.
yeah,
Don't they
yeah,
miss?
it's difficult.
You know.
It's only been a week so far, so it's not too bad. But it will be. I've got a laptop with a video link on it, so we talk to them.
Do that.
We talk to them every day, and
Oh.
but yeah, it is horrible. But that's just our particular problem, you know.
Well, maybe one day they can come and tour. But is there any reason why your wife comes and tour with you? Can she stay with the kids, or you just prefer to have it?
But she kind of works with me as well, so
So it helps. It's more
I needed
helpful
to-
for her to be.
I needed to be there. Yeah, I couldn't do it if she wasn't there.
So that's good. I was just reading through like some of your older interviews, and you just were saying, you know, there was like a midpoint in your career where you felt you were under a lot of pressure to always write a hit and everything like that. But how did you suddenly have a lot of pressure like that? I mean, did you?
Well, when you first start writing songs, you don't have a record contract. There is no pressure whatsoever. When you've written songs that are number 1, the record company then start wanting you to write more, which are number 1, and they start talking about the numbers of units, and it becomes a commodity rather than music. And then when things start to slide a little bit, there is a huge amount of pressure to keep, because your life is at stake in some respect. Not your life that you're going to die, but I mean your career, and it's at stake. As soon as there are 1,001 people waiting around the corner of anyone's career, who are every bit as good, probably, if not better. And as soon as you start to slide at a record company, you're out, because there are so many people just sitting there waiting to take your place. And so the pressure to keep trying to come up with hit singles and be successful is absolutely enormous, because if you don't, you're out. And when you're out...
That's like being on a major record, though, on a major record label.
I
I mean, now you're more independent. You're not.
Well, yeah, I
you
have to be.
You're more. Isn't it better that way?
Well, it depends on how you look at it, really. It's better in that I've got more control over what goes out, and I can't be dropped from my label because it's my label.
Well, yeah.
So I don't have to worry about keeping record company executives happy and all that sort of nonsense. But on the other hand, I don't have £1 million budget to throw at launching the Jagged album, which would obviously make quite a difference.
You mean in terms of promoting it?
Yeah, tour promoting it, tour support, advertising, buying the best PR people on the planet, and all those things that a lot of other bands have when they're with major labels that help them to become very successful, and arguably to stay successful for a small while. You don't have that. So swings and roundabouts, as they say, really. There are good things about being on a small label, but you certainly are going to struggle if you want to compete.
But you've been able to make a living out of it, though.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
it's not the same thing as
it's not
becoming a
so-
multi-millionaire, is it?
No, but
I'm
I know it
doing-
would be nice. But I mean,
I'm
at
doing
least you are
here-
able. You don't have to go and get a part-time job and come back home in the night and do your music.
No.
So
No.
I mean, that you don't have to have that kind of stress or stress of some sort of big hit or something. It's just your label. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but you're talking about the middle years, not now. In the middle years, I was with a
In the
big
middle,
label
yes.
when I was still getting hit
Yeah.
singles, and there was a big pressure to keep
I'm
on
ta-
getting hit
yeah.
singles.
But now you should be more relaxed.
I am.
Okay, just wondering.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I wasn't in the middle years.
Yeah, I guess the middle years just wasn't a lot of fun.
No, it sucked.
You know.
Really badly, horribly. And I went bankrupt, and I nearly lost my house, and it was horrible, horrible.
Did you have any supportive friends or anything, or were you?
I have my family.
Your
Don't
family?
need friends. Got my family.
Friends usually come when you're a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, but when you're not a multi-millionaire anymore, they disappear again.
Yeah. So
They're
it's
all
kind of
gone
like
by
an up
then.
and down thing.
Yeah.
But have you encountered any like kind of like loyal fans who might not be so receptive to your new music? Like, is that kind
Difficult
of
to know, really,
frustrating?
because people that aren't receptive to it, they kind of just don't buy it, don't turn up, you don't see them anymore. So I don't know, really. This album is selling a bit more than the last one, and that sold a bit more than the one before that, right back to 92. I did a really bad album, and every album I've done since then has sold a little bit more than the one before. So in general, things would appear to be on, slowly improving over the years, although it is slow. So I'm not trying to make any great claims for it at all, but there is a steady upward trend rather than downward, which it was up until 1992. Whether that's new people coming in, which I think it is actually, especially in Britain, or whether that's older fans staying with me, I'm not sure.
Are
But
you
my
getting
suspicion
like
is
more audience in America as opposed to in England, or is it just
England is still probably Britain.
like you're bigger in Britain than you are in America? Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely.
Also, do you have like any crazy fans? Like I heard something like you were sent like little bullets in the mail or something like that.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, I used to get all kinds of horrible things sent in the post. My mum had a petrol bomb put under her car once, so that was pretty heavy. Yeah,
Oh,
but it's been all kinds of weird
that's
shit.
kind of strange. I didn't know that happens. I mean, it just seems to be happening a lot to you.
Only once. Yeah, it happened to my mum.
No, but I think I read something about someone sent some bullets in the mail, like a
Yeah, that
steel
was
bullet.
1981.
Oh, that was in the very
In the very early
very,
days,
very early
yeah.
days.
You think about it. You've just become famous in England. Not here, but in England, I was massively successful. I mean, I was number one for 4 weeks and number one again after that with albums, and it was just massive, absolutely massive. And there are going to be in a small country like that a few people that get annoyed by that, either because their girlfriend puts your poster on the wall, or whatever it might be. You're always going to get a few people who are either just stupid people anyway, or get drunk, or whatever it might be, and just decide that they're going to have a little go at you. And so they send you death threats, and they send you shit in the post, and all the rubbish things that small-minded little people do. And so I don't think it was peculiar to me. I think it probably happens to quite a lot of people. Not everyone, but quite a lot of
I know,
people. It
sometimes-
just breeds a certain level of resentment.
Yeah, a lot of people resent artists. Even people that are not so famous get stalked too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, anyway, also you always described yourself like, you said you wore a lot of makeup on the show to cover your spots and everything like that. You like described yourself to be some kind of horse, like with teeth hanging out and your lower lip. Why? You don't look at all like that in real life. I mean, that was
Oh.
just a certainly strange description of yourself.
Well, that's how I felt about it, though. I mean, I got big teeth at the front, and I used to have spots.
Really? Right
Yeah.
now, you still do?
Yeah,
These oh,
I'm
I'm
chipped
bigger.
now. I've chipped in twice in this last tour. I keep cracking myself in the face with a microphone. Done that one.
I think my teeth are bigger than yours.
Oh, well.
But anyway,
We're all embarrassed by certain things, aren't we?
well,
That was mine. My big teeth and my spots. So I wore makeup.
it's all
I never
gone
smiled.
now, so there are no spots on Gary's face if anyone is wondering, unless I take the camera and do a close up,
No, I'm not right, no.
you know,
But I'm quite old now, so
you know.
you don't get so spotty when you're old.
I don't think you're that old. I mean, you're certainly not like 80 years old or something,
No, not 80. No.
you know. So.
Well on the way, though.
You're on the way to being 80? In another 10 years, you're going to be 80. Is that it?
No, just look that old. No, I'm 48 now, so when I'm getting there.
Well, maybe your parents might be a little bit older, but I don't think you look old like that. Everyone gets old eventually,
Yeah.
unless they die. Like unless you die today.
Yeah, well,
That
hopefully
would be
not. eh?
strange. So, how has the press coverage been for like your new album? Are you getting like press coverage in the U.S.? Have you been on any TV shows in the U.S.?
Don't think so. Yeah, no, I did a few in Canada.
In Canada?
Yeah, Canada was quite good actually.
Oh.
So that was cool. I don't think I've done any here yet. I don't know if the video's getting shown or anything
Oh,
like
but
that.
not
I don't really
any
know.
major TV studio or anything
No,
like that.
no.
Oh.
I'm not nowhere near successful enough for them to be interested in me, I don't think.
Well,
I'm a cult. I'm
well,
a
have you
small
seen
cult.
what have you seen what they go after anyway? Why would you want to be stuck in between some sort of? You mean like MTV or VH1 or something like that?
Well, the reason for being stuck in between whoever,
Well, I mean, those people you're stuck in, whoever, are not always very good.
um, well, they reach a lot of people. The reason I'm here to promote the album is to try to let as many people know as possible what the album sounds like, what I sound like, and what I'm doing now. And these big programs are very, very powerful when it comes to simply getting you out to the people.
It's a lot of exposure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think they might just want you to be a certain way or sing only one song.
That's that
You know.
is true, and that's something you have to be careful with. If I was asked to go on MTV and do Cars, then I wouldn't do it. The same
Don't
as
you think it might still bring some audience who might be curious to what you're doing now?
no.
You don't
I think it
so?
would cement the opinion that I only ever wrote one song, and that I'm
You just
stuck in
think
the
it would be
80s.
bad?
Yeah, I do think it'd be bad. Yeah, I've turned down more things in the UK over the last 15 years than I've said yes to, because they all had some kind of a
Like
nostalgia.
an 80s thing or
Yeah.
something?
Going out. We had a program for a while called Big Breakfast, which was a massive show on every morning, and they asked me to go on 3 times, and I said no every time because they wanted me to do something to do with the 80s, sing an old song, do a duet with the presenter, to do with an old
Is
song.
it always Cars that they want you to sing, or what if it was some other song, like
Uh,
Down in the Park or something?
It doesn't matter to me.
You just don't want to have anything.
No, why should I go on and sing something old when I got something brand new sitting out there?
I just thought it would open up, I don't know, people would be curious.
No, I don't believe it does. I just think it cements people's opinions.
And then they just see you one way.
They
and
see you
that's
as
it.
once you start accepting things like that and doing 80s things, then you are considered to be forevermore an 80s act. And it's been very, very difficult for me over the last 10, 15 years by pretty much turning down everything that got offered, to only do things that were not nostalgic or were not 80s connected in any way, and slowly but surely, and in Britain it's worked, become known as a current artist doing current things in this year, not an 80s act that's still hanging on. So I don't do retrospective tours, I don't do these here and now nostalgia tours where all the 80s people get together and sing 3 songs.
No, that's kind of stupid. I didn't mean like that. I guess I was just...
But it's the same kind of thing. If you go into a television program that 5 million people are going to see, why do you want them to see you doing a song that you wrote in 1979? I would rather not be seen.
You'd just rather not do it at all.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I didn't... I guess I didn't realize that. I mean, they used to market that Devo as like a one-hit wonder with that song Whip It all the time, and they kept playing that song all the time, and I got curious about that band, and I bought some of their albums, and I actually thought their other songs were better. So, I mean, I just thought other people might be curious in that way.
But I don't think it works that way.
But maybe not.
No.
Maybe
For every
it's just
person that
me.
gets, yeah, I think it is.
Maybe it just was.
If one person would get curious and go out and buy the album, another 100 would go, they only ever wrote one song, that band, and I didn't even like that one. You're stuck. It sticks you into an era, and you can't do it. If you're going to get out of it, you have to take some fairly you have to make some fairly big sacrifices, and that means turning down what appear to be very good opportunities, because those opportunities are actually counterproductive. You must be able to see 5 years, 10 years in the future as to how that's going to work out. Oh,
They
okay.
can go ahead and make noise.
Yeah.
Because I have a mic, it's fine.
Yeah, it'll be
It's fine because I've interviewed some bands and they were really, really noisy.
excellent. Thank you.
It's not so. Gosh, Big G doesn't look that big. I mean,
I like you. You can stay. Thank you.
no, I was just asked, to speak to Big G, and I was expecting like a mammoth or something.
No, it's just big compared to me.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so also it seems like you're pretty much doing everything yourself, even doing your own website and designing your own graphics for it and backstage passes, everything you're designing it. Doesn't that distract you from the music?
No, it's all part of it.
I mean, do you enjoy doing that? Is that why you're
That's
doing
why I
just
do
about
it. Yeah, I mean,
everything?
I don't actually think I'm particularly good at it.
No,
I like doing it, so that's why I do it. And in some respects, all of these things are part of the whole package. The way the website looks, right across to where the The look of the album cover, the font that you use, the way the lyrics are laid out, the music, obviously. It's all connected, and all of those things they all have to belong together. And the only way to really make sure that happens is to do it yourself, really.
Well, that's true. Huh. But you don't do like the programming on the code that puts the T-shirts in the shopping cart and all that.
The HTML I do. I don't do the
HTML, the Cold Fusion
I don't do
stuff.
Cold Fusion, no.
Oh, okay. So, but you do update your website a lot and everything on your own.
Yeah, I do use raw code. I don't even use these web editing software packages. Just raw BB Edit, HTML, just raw code.
Yeah, those actually mess up your pages sometimes. They put the graphics in the wrong place if you keep using too much of those web editing softwares.
Obviously,
Unless you have a really good one.
the website is fairly established, so pretty much every page is its own template. You just fill in the blanks.
That's interesting. So, you would never want to work with anybody?
Musically,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know on this new album you worked with somebody called Aid Fenton. I mean, I just thought it was a bit strange because you don't normally work with anyone. How was that?
well, I know I've worked with producers off and on in the past. Aid produced it with me, and the album before that I worked with a band called Sulphur, two boys from a band called Sulphur, in very much the same way. So I don't always do it, but it's not unknown for me to work with sort of co-producer people as well. But I think that maybe four or five albums out of the 20 or so, whatever it is, that I've made. So it is rarer, but I do it.
But you just prefer to work alone? I mean, it's in terms of...
I don't have any people skills. No, I don't interact well at all. So I have no tact. I'm useless at diplomacy, so I'm not a particularly easy person to work with, because I don't understand how to get the best out of people. I'm very blunt when I'm speaking about things, and so I just seem to offend people and I don't mean to, but I seem to offend people. So, yeah. But working in a creative environment, two people side by side in a creative environment, can be quite difficult. You're coming up with ideas, and if the other person is kind of putting you down, then not putting you down, but doesn't like the ideas that you're coming up with, ego comes into play, and it can be.
It gets kind of competitive, and then you
a little bit. There are people that are very good at it, that are very, very good at being able to not use somebody's idea, but make them think it was the best idea they'd ever heard, but find reasons why I'm not in that particular. And I'm not good at that. I'm the opposite. I would just say that's rubbish, and that's not the best way. Not the best way to go about things. I don't have any people skills whatsoever within the music business or outside of it. I'm completely crap at interacting with the rest of humanity. I've got this Asperger's thing, so I'm actually borderline autistic.
How did your wife diagnose you with that? I mean, she must have been very observant.
No, she didn't diagnose me with it. I actually had problems when I was at school about it. I've never been diagnosed with it, actually.
Oh, I think it was just... I see. No, there was just something on the web. I think maybe you should...
Yeah, there's a few things
that said that she diagnosed you with it, and I was always wondering what that meant. How could your wife... I could understand it if she observed.
No, her brother's got it.
Oh, okay.
So she's very aware of it and familiar with dealing with it, and was brilliant, actually. Was the first person I've ever been with that actually made me kind of face up to it and start to deal with it and so on. So he's really, really, really helpful. And but she didn't diagnose me with it, no.
Oh, okay. That's what I read. But I mean...
Yeah, there has been some stuff written about it, and it's not all been true.
Yeah. Oh, good thing I asked you. No, but is it really a bad thing to have it? I'm just not very familiar with it. I mean, is it a mild form that you have? Or?
For me, it is, yeah. Obsessive tendencies, a very poor social skills, misreading facial expressions. I'm told, I didn't even know that, but I'm told we misread facial expressions, so are often misunderstood and misunderstand when we're talking.
You could get hurt at someone else thinking they're being mean or not.
Yeah, and vice versa, not knowing they are being when they are being, and just. It's a very, very broad thing. There are many facets of it, so it's difficult to sort of go over quickly. And obviously I'm only particularly concerned with those that affect me, but I am very, very obsessive about certain things. I'm a very difficult person to be friends with. I have a strange ability to just stop and be very cold. It's difficult to explain, but and I'm a very difficult person to be with, and I'm very up and down and all over the
Is
shop.
that why you think the press and journalists were a little bit scared to interview you or something like that?
No,
Or
I'm
might
not
have-
scared to. I just think I probably said a whole load of stupid things because of this thing, and arguably was misunderstood widely.
What things
Which
did you say that was?
oh, I honestly don't know.
Just
You've
like-
gone back
Oh,
nearly
okay.
30 years. I couldn't.
Personally to them or just in general?
No, just in general, my whole attitude and the whole way I put things was probably the reason that I had problems with the press. Because I don't blame the press for what happened then. I blame me for what happened then. I think much of it was probably my own fault with the, whether it's the Asperger's thing or not, or whether I was just arrogant and didn't mean it, whatever it might have been. I honestly don't know, but I really do think that 99% of the problems that I had with the press were probably my own doing, rather than being sort of picking on me. They were pretty unkind about the music, and they were.
But
There was a
you
lot
were
of
like
stuff
one of the
that was
few
unpleasant.
people that started out with that kind of electronic music.
Yeah.
They would be more critical,
Yeah, and I guess that was part of it as well. But it's probably true to say that if I had a slightly different nature and a different personality, then I could have gone a long way to winning them over. I just seemed to alienate everyone, for years. It's much better now, actually. It's a very different situation now. But then again, I'm different. I'm older and wiser, and the whole Asperger's thing is less of an issue than it used to be.
Oh, I see. But now you seem to be dealing with the press, okay?
Yeah.
Have you had now any negative press?
Well, there's always going to be some, but in the
In
main,
large amounts or anything?
no. No, I have a very good relationship with the press now, pretty much around the world. I mean, things are not perfect, but much better. Even my album reviews now, I mean, I could probably count the bad album reviews on one hand. Well, up until about 10 albums, I could count the good reviews on one hand. I mean, of course, 10 albums, so I had a bad time with the press to start with. But when it's so different now, it's so good now, that it's almost beyond recognition.
That's good.
Yeah, it's,
I mean,
yeah,
that's good. You don't have to feel... Did you feel nervous with press before?
No.
You didn't have a problem?
No, I think I have an unfortunate way of expressing myself sometimes, and certainly when I was younger.
That must have been interesting. No, you just don't often see, I don't know. Well, I guess it must not have been fun, but for me it might have been interesting. But that's just me.
Yeah. You just feel, wow,
You know.
horrible, weird little man.
A weird little man? Did you just call yourself a weird little man?
Horrible, weird little man, yeah.
Horrible, weird little man.
Then, not now, then.
What are you now?
I'm alright. I'm just
So it's good. You feel better about
quite a
yourself.
nice little man. No.
You're a wise little man.
A nice little
Oh,
man.
nice. Are you?
I'm not wise.
So you're a nice little man as opposed to a
Horrible
little man. Oh. Well, I think that's a good improvement.
Yeah, it
But,
is, isn't it?
You know,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to be nice to just anybody.
Well, first.
Well, I mean people, I don't know, who are just after you for the wrong reasons or something, or want to
but
get
you
something.
never know, will you?
You have to keep your antennas up.
Oh, yeah, but see, that's what I was like before. And
Well,
that
I mean,
just breeds suspicion and
Weren't you kind of
cynicism.
rich before too? Like, I mean, that.
Well, when I was
wasn't a lot of
successful, I wasn't
money.
to start with.
Yeah.
I know I was successful and I was quite rich for a while, yeah.
But you would want to be careful of people.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it depends really. There's not much people can do to take your money away from you. They can be your friend through false reasons, I guess, but I don't know. God, you're a cynic.
Am I? Oh, I'm just asking questions. I'm not even sure what cynical means.
You're offering opinions. That's not the same thing at all. You're a cynic.
Cynic? Yeah, I am cynical. I offer opinions.
I know.
I'm trying to brainwash the audience to believe everything I'm saying. That's what I'm doing. So I'm
You are
phrasing
right.
things.
When you first come into, when you first have when you get a lot of money, and I don't have it anymore, but when I had a lot of money, yes, very suspicious about why people suddenly want to be your very best friend, and why all of a sudden women that wouldn't look at you twice before suddenly
Probably
want
because
to
you thought you looked like a horse.
look like a horse.
With your big
Women
teeth.
suddenly drop at your feet, and you think, really? Where did that suddenly come from? So yeah, you are very, very suspicious. But that isn't a very nice way to be, and it doesn't make you happy. And so, as I've got older, I've learnt that the best way to be is to probably actually assume that people are nice until they prove themselves otherwise. And so, just be careful, yes, but don't go through life thinking that everyone is out to get you, because it just makes you miserable.
Well, then you wouldn't want to be in this world.
No, you don't want to.
I mean, you want to live somewhere, you just wouldn't want to deal with people at all.
I mean, it's not as if I have a big circle of friends, so I am still probably quite careful, I guess. I've got my wife and my band, really, my closest friends, and a few other people outside of that, and they are kind of my hardcore friends. And I don't feel a great need to expand that too much. So it's not as if lots of people are coming up to me and I'm deciding whether to be their friend or not. It's not like that at all, really.
Well, not now. I mean, it's just whoever you've known from before. I mean, do you normally meet a lot of new people?
Yeah, pretty much. Because we travel a lot. We're traveling the world all the time and moving around a lot. So there's always new people in and out. But I don't know. I just become a lot more open, I think, as time's gone by. So I'm not looking at everybody with slightly askew or wondering what they're after anymore at all. Probably because I don't have anything to give them anymore. I'm not wealthy anymore, and I'm not this big massive rock star anymore that people might just want to hang out with. It's not like that. I'm none of those things anymore. So I guess I don't have anything to offer those kind of people. So that they don't kind of bother me anymore. And so I have generally a much sort of happier, less cynical time.
That's good to know. Well, I mean, but I mean, what about are you famous with any? I mean, not famous. Do you know any famous celebrities that try to befriend you? And
yeah, I've got various sort of people that are sort of in doing this for a living. Yeah, I guess I don't know any sort of mega stars or superstars or anything like that.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah, I don't know what you'd even call a megastar these days.
I'm not sure. I don't know how much of a megastar people really are. Like mega crap. What sort of advice will you have to any aspiring artists that end up, working on their own? There are not that many people who work on their own, and you're one of the few musicians, I think, at least that I know, that do everything by themselves, even from updating your website to your promotional stuff. Like, what would you give to, say, an aspiring artist, someone who does everything on their own?
I think,
isn't it?
For me, the most important thing has been to, when you make your record, and your record goes to your record company or wherever it goes and out it goes, you must not be precious about it. You must be pleasantly surprised.
Precious?
No. Yeah, you must be precious about it. You must not think it's God's gift to music. That you must not think it's so special. You must not think that you've contributed something to the world by making an album.
Why not?
Because you haven't.
Why?
Because you haven't. It's
What if
just...
it's so good? What if you're very proud of it? Wouldn't that
Be proud of it. Be as proud of it as you can be. Make the very, very best album that you can make. But if you want to survive, you have to let it go. You must not think it's special, because no matter how successful you are, the vast majority of people will not like your record. If you're number one in England, right? I was number one in England in '79 with a song that sold 1 million copies. In England, that's a big deal. There's 60 million people in Britain. So that means 59 million people knew about it but didn't like it. 1 in 60 liked it enough to go out and buy it. So the vast majority of people, almost everyone you meet in the street, knows who you are but doesn't like what you do. So forget all that thing about contributing to the world,
I
right?
don't mean contributing, expecting people would like it, but I mean being happy that if you were to die tomorrow, that you're happy that you've left something in this world. That
Yeah, but you're asking me to
created.
give advice to people, aren't you?
Oh, I completely forgot my question. Yes, that
Well,
would be it.
well, that's the advice then. Don't be precious about what you do. Make the best album that you can possibly make, but when it goes out, be pleasantly surprised when people like it, not be devastated when people don't, because most people won't. And if you can get around to that, your ego will survive intact. The best thing to do when you make an album is get rid of your ego, stick it in a little box in the corner and never open it up again, because ego is a thing that drives you into drugs and drinking and trying to cope with all this shit that comes with it. Get rid of all that. Get rid of it. Don't need it. Don't need it.
Have you gotten rid of all that?
Absolutely. I have no ego whatsoever.
Really?
Nope.
that make you like spineless? With
Got
no
nothing to
ego
do
at
with
all?
it. Nothing to do with it.
You just
Why does ego mean that you
I
have a
don't
spine?
really know.
It's not the same
No,
thing
it's
at
not.
all. I am phenomenally resilient, but I have no ego whatsoever. I do not think that what I do is special. I do not think that I am special. I do not think that people that do this for a living are fucking special, for that matter.
Why don't you think you're special for doing?
Because anyone can do this.
Anyone can do
there
your
are,
album?
like I said before, there are 1,000 people on every street corner that can write songs. Writing songs is one of the most disposable. It is the most disposable of the creative arts. There are tens of thousands of people in America alone, all in bands, all pretty good, all out and about doing their stuff. Tens of thousands of
More
them.
than others.
That's so much of that is down to luck.
I don't mean stand out in the mainstream.
My album, my
I mean-
Jagged album, might be arguably better than the album that's #1 at the moment.
Yeah.
Probably isn't, but it might
is.
be. And whether that album gets to #1 or not is very much down to how much help, exposure and luck and money is spent on letting the public know it's there, what opportunities you get. You know, do you get MTV making you Artist of the Week? Because if you do, you're probably going to be quite successful. If you don't, and if the radio don't play you because your music's too heavy or too whatever it might be, no one's even going to know that you exist. So it's nothing to do with the music almost, it's what opportunities you get to let the great buying public know that it's there, and know that you're there, and know what you do. And half the trick of this business isn't about making music. Man, that's easy. Loads of people can make music. It's how to work the business, and that's what I'm shit at. Shit. I have no idea how to manipulate the music business, and so I'm still flogging around in a bloody tour bus after 30 years, doing my best. And I love it, which is lucky, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be
You're
doing
promoting
it.
yourself through independent means, you know. I mean, even alternative media has approached you, and even through your website, people are buying things. I don't know. I just don't think it's necessarily a privilege to be on like MTV's #1. I mean, it would be good to get publicity, but I just don't think that
No, I'm not
should
saying
be
it's
someone's
privilege,
goal.
I'm saying it's good for publicity.
Okay.
And if you want to sell albums, you need publicity.
Yes.
These are very, very powerful mechanisms to get you in front of the public.
Yeah.
When the public see you, they then have the choice, either like you or they don't. At that point, I have no argument whatsoever. If I was to go in front of television in front of every American household, and not one of them bought the record, I have no argument with that whatsoever. But you had your chance, nobody liked it, and I'm cool with that, you know. But it's that constant search for these opportunities that can become a little bit frustrating at times. But the point is, it isn't really anything to do with whether the music is good, bad or indifferent. It's the opportunities you get for people to hear it. That's the problem. Writing good music isn't necessarily a problem, and I do believe that many, many people can do it. Thousands and thousands of people can do it. Thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands, all around the world. It isn't. Writing songs is not the most difficult thing in the world. It really isn't.
But what about writing songs and composing tunes and everything else? That's not always going to be that. I don't think the average individual can do that. Writing songs, I mean, doing what you're doing.
I don't know. Have a look. England is quite a small country, right? And we have something like 500 or 1,000 new singles released every week. Every week. I mean, imagine what that is, and that's in a tiny little country. And that's just the bands releasing singles. There are 10 times as many bands that haven't got deals that are still out there doing their things, playing their little gigs, trying to get deals. There are many other artists that do have deals but don't release stuff very often. You know, there are so many people doing it. All of these people have got a certain amount of fans. All these fans think that their band is the favourite. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's that. It's like I'm not curing cancer. You know what I mean? That's special. That's special, man. What we do is just nothing special.
I don't think it's nothing special. But that's just
Well,
me.
the more people that think like you, the better it is for people like me. So great.
I had also another question. I noticed on your website, like, you're involved in some charity work called Caring for Cats or something
Yeah.
like that. Whose idea was that?
I just can't remember how it started. They approached me, maybe through my wife actually. I'm not sure. Well, my wife's a big cat person. Yeah,
Oh.
I've become one, but I wasn't before.
Do you relate better to animals? No, nothing wrong with that.
I relate most
I'm
best.
just saying because they're not I mean, it's just their instincts are basic. You treat the animal nice, the animal
Pure,
treats you back
yeah.
nice.
Pure instinct.
You know?
I love them for that. No, I relate best to machinery actually, in a horribly nerdy kind of way. But me and aeroplane, I love aeroplanes and big. I used to fly World War II aeroplanes. You'd have a World War II airplane and big, powerful, rugged
That
bit of
sounds
stuff.
really hard to do.
Yeah, that's a bit more tricky. But you see, the thing about people. This goes back to my Asperger's, I guess. The thing about people is, they can let you down, and they can do it on purpose. They can deliberately hurt you, deliberately lie to you. They can do all of these things which used to make me the cynic that you are at the moment, and now I've grown out
Really
of
not that cynical.
older.
I think I'm very
See,
cynical.
But the thing about machinery, that doesn't happen. You can trust them in a way that's different. If a machine lets you down, you can absolutely guarantee it didn't do it on purpose. Just having a bad day.
I know.
Can't say that for
But
people.
I know, but it's not always that easy working with people.
It's what?
It's not always that easy working with people.
That's my point exactly.
You know.
Yeah, it is easy working with machinery because you can trust it.
Yes.
Press a button, it starts.
Except when it breaks, then you have to buy a new one.
Yeah, but that's the point I see. But if
At
it
least
breaks,
makes sense.
it didn't do it on purpose. If somebody lets you down, you can't say that. There's a good chance they did it on purpose to spite you.
Yeah. Well, not always,
I love
but
machinery, I just do.
maybe if they spite you a number of times, you might get the idea. Like from a person.
Alright.
But I was just wondering about that caring for cats thing. You have a lot of cats and stuff like that in your house?
6.
You have 6? Do
6 cats, 2
Do you
dogs.
feed it like regular pet food from the can, or do you feed it fresh food?
From a can and dry
Oh,
biscuit.
the only reason
fish.
I asked about that is just that, there's a
Those
lot
little
of...
foil packets.
Yeah, but there's a lot of chronic illnesses actually caused by that kind of commercial pet food, including dry food and from the can, and a lot of cats are susceptible to like urinary tract infections and cancer. Has any of your cats been sick?
No,
Never?
no.
I'm just saying that those are just not very good foods to feed your kids. It's always good to feed it
British
fresh.
foods are excellent.
No, they're not. They're made from,
Excuse me, young lady.
No, but-
I think you'll find that British foods do not contaminate their cats.
No, but
It's your
like
own problem.
but like the pet foods, a lot of them are made from like dead animals from
Yeah, I know.
slaughterhouses,
Well, it's the-
and
is it Iams,
that's
isn't it?
why
It's the one that we
it's,
were
it's,
told
it's
about.
it's iams, and it's also most of the foods. It's just from leftovers from carcasses, and those animals have been injected with antibiotics and a lot of diseased animals. So that's
Our
how.
closest friend is a girl that works for these animal rights societies. In fact, has just started working in New York for moved from England to here a few months ago, and she has the absolute latest information. Is part of all kinds of underground research and goes on little hunts, sabotages, and all these various things. Anyway, and we have it on good authority that the food that we feed our cats will not give them cancer.
Oh, that's good. But I'm just saying it wouldn't hurt to feed them fresh food once in a while or
Okay.
something. But that's just my opinion. What do I know anyway?
I don't know. Maybe you're a cat expert.
No, but it's just that's what I've noticed. I just had a number of friends, who it's come down with that, and the dry food is not protein. It's really, it's just not made of meat, and it's very alkaline, and that's one of the causes of that urinary tract infection thing.
Right.
But anyway, if you haven't had that experience, then that's good.
Not so far.
So
And they're
same
very
thing with-
old now.
Same thing with dogs too. So.
Really? Dogs. Picture of health, our 2 dogs.
Okay, so then that's good. If they're old and you don't have a problem with them, then that's good. And their coats are shiny.
No. Very healthy, all of our animals.
Okay. See, Gary Newman's animals are all very healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, you said you liked doing flying and everything like that. Would you ever do like a documentary about it?
Done one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we made a documentary called The Radial Pair, which was the name of our display team. I was an air display pilot for years, for
Yeah.
about 10, 12 years. And we made a documentary about that team. And I sponsored an air show many years ago. We made a documentary about that as well. Just
that's-
looking at the air show. So
That's
yeah,
kind
we
of
can.
nice.
Yeah, I
Because
like
it's not available on your website. I mean, you don't sell it as a,
Yeah,
as
no,
a
we
film?
do actually. If you go to there's a thing called News Street, which is the shop part of
Yes.
our website. And if you click on the videos link, they're in there. We're just going to re-release them on DVD actually in about the next 6 months or so. But they are there, yeah. But
They are there. Okay, I probably didn't dig all the way in.
okay.
But that's good to know. Now people will watch the interview and know. And have you ever thought of doing music videos? I mean, when you have come up with a song, do you come up with like a concept, a vision of how maybe you ever put it on film?
Yeah, we've had several singles that
No,
what we
but do
made
you
promo
personally
videos for.
like to have concepts and visions about, what a music video should be about?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Are there any new ones that you worked with?
There's
Oh,
a
in
video
general?
from the Jagged album. There's a song on that called "In a Dark Place" which we've done a video for.
It was your ideas how to set everything out?
Yeah, well, I worked on it with a man called Paul Green from England, and we worked on various ideas for it, how it would look, really the angle of it, just the way it was filmed and so on. It's not some deep bit of art.
No, I mean,
It
just one
really
of the
isn't.
visions you had when you did your music.
Yeah, I
thought
went
it
out
would
and
be
picked the
nice to see
location
something.
for it, so I knew where I wanted the cameras to run up this stream that would come up from the back. All the various parts to do with it, how the band would be laid out and so on. But to be really honest about it, I mean, I'd have thought any artist that made a video would be involved to that sort of level. Well, what you're going to just turn up and have somebody say, stand there, sing your song? Well, that would be really boring. But see, but when I remember, I am involved in everything. I always have been.
Including
So.
music videos also.
Yeah, I do my own album covers, and I even actually lay out the lyrics on the little booklet and the CD. And I do all of it.
Yeah, I know about that. I just
A video is an even more important aspect of it than that, if you like. So it's very important that the video looks right. It's all part of the same thing, all part of having all the little pieces working together. And the video is a very, very big piece, so it's important to get it right.
It's almost like a storyline.
Well, it's the thing that people are going to see probably more than anything else. They're not going to go through a record shop and scan for your album cover unless they're an absolute fan. People are going to see the video, and so what that video projects is a vital part of trying to get people interested in the record that it comes from, the album that it comes from. So the whole imagery of it, the style of it, everything about it it's a very, very important part of the album itself.
That's good.
So
I think
you need to be
videos
involved.
are pretty important. I like watching it, to music, especially to a song, and it's always good to have what the artist has to say about it. I mean, their visions. Actually, can I just change my tape? I'll finish in about 5 minutes. I just would want you to be cut off. I'll just finish up. I think you have sound check, right? Coming up.
Yeah, pretty soon.
Yeah. Also, my other question was, I heard something like that you were into writing novels and stuff like that.
Would like to.
What sort of novels?
Science fantasy. I don't know if you know Stephen Erickson.
No, I don't.
Stephen Erickson, David Gilmour, people like this. It's all. There is no technology. The most advanced thing is a sword. So that kind of stuff.
Is it the characters and stuff? Like,
Yeah, all heroic.
oh, I'm not familiar with that. Wabic?
Heroic.
Heroic. I'm sorry, I thought you said Wabic.
No.
I just heard the last two syllables of the word, and I was not. Oh,
it's
you like heroic characters?
Yeah.
Oh. Will there be any kind of assortment of dark characters?
Oh, yeah, plenty of that. But I mean, I haven't written it yet. So
just something in your head.
Yeah.
Just something that's in. Do you
something I
think
would
those-
like to do when I'm older and when I'm not doing music as much as I am
But
now.
you could still. Oh, I guess you'll be too busy to.
Yeah, I've got
do
2
that.
kids as well.
Yeah.
Things are pretty busy.
Do you feel like a little bit like you have to be overprotective of them? I mean, I don't know. Is
I
it
don't- I
stressful
don't-
being a father?
Yeah, I think
Just
so.
worried, I don't know. Like you wouldn't want them to grow up to be someone. I don't know, just the usual standard worries. Is that
I'm not worried about what they're going to grow up to be. I'm worried about what might happen to them as they're
as
trying.
a child, like the way they're imprinted or something?
Just things that can happen in the world. It's a dangerous place, full of bad influence and so on. So yeah, it's just there are 1,001 things to worry about.
But they haven't
Gee.
started school yet, right?
No, almost.
youngest one?
The older one, preschool in September.
Is that when they're 4 years or 5?
We start preschool at
4?
3. They start
Really?
conventional school at 4.
Oh.
So she goes 3 mornings, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 hours each day.
Are they doing well at school? Is she doing
Well, no,
well?
it doesn't start till September,
Oh,
but that's what it's going to be.
Oh.
And the younger one's only
Is
1.
it, is
So.
it private? Is it a private school?
Mm.
Oh. So no one will bother them being the Gary Newman's children? Like,
Well, you never
they-
know. It's still possible, but there's less chance of it there than there is with a normal state school.
Oh, I see. And, alright, well, oh, have you ever read Enid Blyton when you were a little boy?
Any Blyton?
Yeah.
I don't think I did when I was a little boy, no. actually.
You just don't really care for her books?
No,
Like, I don't know, maybe it's... No?
it's not something that I ever got involved with, no.
You never read any of Enid Blyton's books?
Not that I know of, but I mean, I could easily have done and not realised what I was reading. I was never that bothered about who wrote something, it was just a story.
Oh, no, I've always liked her books. I read, like, all her whole collection.
Really?
Yeah. It's just, like, a lot of different characters that I thought was good. Anyway. But is there anything else that you'd like to say before we...
God, no. How much have we talked about?
I know, but I mean anything with regard... I mean, you're touring Europe also.
Done Europe. We did Europe in April.
How
April,
is the
May.
European reaction? How is it in Europe?
Europe was really rubbish,
Really?
actually. Yeah, it was really disappointing. My situation in Europe is that I signed a deal with a licensing deal with a record company in Britain called Cooking Vinyl, and so you inherit Cooking Vinyl's European distribution as part of doing it. So I wasn't signed to any of the European labels directly. So those labels suddenly find that they've got Gary Numan albums to sell, and they didn't actually sign me. So they quite probably don't actually want me, or even know how to sell the sort of music that I make. They might not have any kind of understanding of this sort of music compared to some of the other things that they might sell. And so what we found when we got to Europe was there was very little, if any, record company interest whatsoever. So the promoters were struggling because they couldn't get the record companies to help them out, and it was all an absolute total waste of time. So what we're going to do now in Europe is, when we go back, is to go back and hopefully, wherever possible, just do festivals, which is a much better way of doing
the
it.
audience that came were just not...
The audiences that came were okay, but not enough came.
Oh, okay. Just the way everything else was handled.
Yeah, just no one knew that we were coming. There was no media interest while we were there, so nobody knew we'd even been.
Really?
No, it's just an absolutely really expensive waste of time and waste of money, and a lot of money too. So it was rubbish.
I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't think...
Yeah, I was pretty sorry to experience it. Actually, it
Oh.
was rubbish. But we know what we know what was wrong, and we think we know how to fix it. So when we go back next time, it will.
Okay, so you're going to play more festivals and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so I guess I can conclude my show, unless you would like to say anything else.
No, I'm done. Thank you.
So, okay, so here I am again with Gary Numan on his Jagged tour and promotion of his latest album, Jagged. So hopefully you guys could listen to his album, Jagged. And I was wondering, can you possibly say hello to my show? Would you be interested?
Sure, yeah.
This is the name of the show, Miss Divine's Tee-hee-hee. It's just a sketch comedy show.
Was that what?
It's actually hour in French. I
Oh.
tried to make it sound cool.
How'd you pronounce that?
I would say or ear, but I'm bad at French. So it never sounds right.
So is that Miss or Ms?
Just Miss Divine's Tee-hee-hee. Yeah.
Okay.
You could say it any way you want to.
Well, I'll say it that way. Sorry.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Gary Numan, and you're watching Miss Divine's Tee-hee Her.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right,
Good
pleasure.
luck
Thank you.
with everything.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time too.
That's all right. No